I finally got around to watching Fall. It was a movie that I saw trending, probably like a lot of everybody else over on TikTok back when it came out. I don't remember when it came out, probably like, it's had to have been over a year, but regardless, like, it was ever since I saw that, and I was watching a few clips on TikTok about it, I didn't watch it anymore, and I'm like, hey, this is a pretty interesting movie, I'm gonna end up watching it. I forgot about it, and then the other day, I had a random thought about it, like, just one of those things, I have no idea why I thought about it. I had nothing to do with heights, nothing to do with movies, I just thought about it, so I was like, hey, is this on Netflix or something? Found it on Netflix, we watched it, and I thought it was a phenomenal movie. Today, we are going to be breaking down Fall for you, talking about anything that I liked, disliked, just my experience watching it, and of course, I would love to know what you think about it down below afterwards. Spoilers ahead, everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. So this movie gets into it straight away with an action scene right off of the bat, and the action scene being everybody climbing, it being extremely dangerous. I've never understood why people do this. I get that there's thrill seeking, I get that there's adventure seeking, but to climb up giant mountains and the things that people do, like, it's different from climbing a mountain in the sense where, like, there's a trail here, maybe there's a little bit of danger with some animals, that I get, but to, like, climb a giant vertical, like, big wall that looks like it's from Game of Thrones, people do that, and I think it's absolutely crazy. But at the same time, I can't help but find myself interested in this movie because it's been a little while since something filled me with such anxiety, because something about me is I am horribly afraid of heights. I'm horribly afraid of heights. Like, if I was up there, I would probably just let go and, like, end it all right there, because I could not handle being up there. Like, it's one of my worst fears of all time is being stuck on, like, a tower of this episode. So I tortured myself watching this movie because I found it very interesting, and I was feeling it throughout. I was feeling it from the first second of this movie. I was like, oh God, it's a long fall. But you have the two best friends, both Becky and Hunter, with Becky's husband Dan, and they're all climbing together. Had a little bit of a feeling that someone was gonna fall. Long story short, Dan ended up falling down. It was very tragic. He slipped. He died after everybody was being so casual. Everybody loved each other, right? But then we jump into a scene. What was it like? I believe it was a year later. Regardless, Becky has cut off Hunter. She is a raging alcoholic now, and we cut to her just missing him, loving him. She's obsessed with listening to his voicemails, and I gotta say, too, the two actors in this movie, Becky and Hunter, I don't know what their actresses' names are. I've never heard of them before. They're both phenomenal at what they do, man, because she really had me feeling like she was missing her husband. She was breaking down. She was crying. She did a fantastic job. She was drunk. Her father found her. Her father's trying to get in contact with her. He's trying to tell her to get over it because he kind of knew Dan for what he was, and that's something that we'll be speaking about a little bit later. But regardless, like, she ends up just cutting him off. She considers killing herself, and then she gets a call from Hunter, who the dad ended up contacting, but she's like, hey, I need to see you. You look like death. So she invites her to do a climb a little bit of a year later, and I think it was like, whatever the tower was called, like B67, whatever, like TV tower. It was set for demolition, but it was at one point one of the tallest towers of all time. She wanted to climb it. After so much time, she ended up convincing Becky to end up climbing this. They did a good job, honestly, like, demonstrating their friendship, and just Becky did such a good job at, like, thinking about taking all of the pills. Like, she really made you feel like this girl was actually, like, majorly depressed. I forgot to mention, too, the way that Hunter was able to convince Becky to go do the climb is you can actually get closure for Dan, because she had a box of his ashes sitting on the table for a year just in her house, and it was a mess, right? So in the pure climbing fashion, they wanted to scatter his ashes all over the place. But I'm skeptical on whether or not that was Hunter who wanted closure for Dan. I don't know. Regardless, it's a way to get Becky to climb again. Something else that I liked about this movie is it moved on very well. Like, I thought it was very well paced, because obviously everyone came there for the giant tower climb, and they got into it pretty quickly. They set up the characters well. We have everything that we need to know. They have a very quick trip. We're introduced to Hunter being, like, this new content creator, and she ended up, like, she's being really fake. She's not herself. She has her tits out, things like that. And I don't remember what she ended up calling herself, but she was being very fake, okay? So she was a little bit wild, and it was kind of demonstrated, too, that she was a little bit carefree on the very first climb. But regardless, we get to the tower. They climb up. And again, it's a good job of Becky's actor, because I was feeling every little ounce of anxiety that she was having. The little slips, the little nuts and bolts coming off. There were signs that they were going to get stuck up there, and that's the premise of the movie. We did know that they were going to end up stuck up there. It's a little bit unrealistic in the sense that I don't know how long it would take to actually climb up there, but they just made it kind of seamlessly. Like, there wasn't really, like, It was too easy. That's what I'm saying. It was too easy up until they got to the top. They had to dodge a couple things. There were a couple scares here. There were some nuts and bolts being loose, but the ascent was really no problem, especially for Becky, who hasn't climbed in a year. Like, she wouldn't be in the shape to climb. Her hands would be ridiculously in pain. Like, I don't think that would have happened. Another thing that they ended up foreshadowing too is they saw a bunch of falcons eating out from probably a deer. I don't remember exactly what it was, but didn't think anything of it until, okay, well, that's a problem, and I understand why they showed that earlier. But then when they actually get to the top of this tiny little platform, and here's another thing, I have trouble believing, like, wouldn't you die to cold up there? I don't know what the temperature would be like up there, but I doubt it's really a place for you to survive. You don't have any sunscreen, the sun will be beaming on you, you're up in the sky. I'm ignoring all the unrealistic aspects of this movie. They did a good job of really making you feel like the issue with this movie. Like, again, major fear of mine. So you get to the top, disaster strikes, the ladder ends up falling, they barely get saved, and they drop their backpack on, it was probably a dish, I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was a little platform, I'm pretty sure it was a dish, and they had to go get it, but their rope, they weren't sure if the rope was exactly long enough. There were also a few moments of a little bit of false hope where they see an emergency vehicle, they tried getting attention of people, they tried putting Hunter's phone with a message that was ready to go inside of a shoe, but it ended up smashing, nobody came. And I forgot to mention, obviously they don't have any cell signal up there, because if they did, the movie would be like just exactly probably a couple minutes long. There's another attempt at a guy camping out with an RV area. It was a couple guys. Regardless, they end up trying to get his attention. They have the one flare gun that they got to use. They used it. The dude noticed them. They were throwing shoes down at him, and they noticed them up there, noticed the car, thought they were going to help, and they just broke into his car. I liked what they did there because it's an excellent display on humanity. Like, people like that exist. People like that would absolutely take advantage of girls in that situation and just leave them up there to die. And the movie only gets more tense from here because they're still there. They're suffering. They're cold. I don't remember at what point Becky got cut, but she had a big cut on her leg, and she was suffering. Like, everybody was suffering. She was going insane. Then, after a little while, they were scrolling through phones because what else could you do? They were waiting for the next day. Becky was scrolling through Hunter's phone, she was going through her phone and the wedding pictures, the wedding videos from her and Dan. And she noticed her friend being a little bit jealous of Dan, okay? I noticed that, and I thought it was a little bit suspicious. Then she looked at a tattoo because now Hunter is barefoot, and it was 143413, a number, regardless. It was a number that he used as code, and I don't know what the code was for, but whatever. If he would say 143 because this dude could not mutter the words, I love you, for whatever reason. Maybe he was just a player, I don't know, but Hunter ended up having that tattooed. So Becky figured out they were cheating. She figures out that that Dan used to love her as well. They both fell in love with the same dude, and she ended up cheating on him behind Becky's back, her husband, for a good 4 months or so. So she's stuck up there with Hunter, and just realizing that this person that you've been mourning for became a raging alcoholic for. This person that you married was cheating on you with your best friend, and your best friend actually isn't your best friend. And I don't know how you couldn't possibly push her over that tower after learning all of that. No, we need to be better than that. It's tough, man, because obviously, like, and she's like, I'm so sorry, Maggie. I can't believe we fell back in love with the same guy. As if, like, that would make it better. Like, you're a loser. You're a scumbag. There's no redeeming qualities about you after that. So they're stuck up there, and the tension is incredible. So Hunter decides to redeem herself a little bit. She's like, I'm going to go get that backpack, and who knows, maybe you'll get lucky and I'll fall. Like, you have no right to be, like, as bitchy as you're being right now, but go down, go get the rope. And after a couple of unrealistic jumps, she supposedly saves the backpack. And this is what I really, really loved about the movie. I loved the twist. And watching this too, I didn't expect it to be as nearly brutal as it was. Like, watching just even the falcons or the crows or whatever they were just eating out of the animal, and then to what we're going to see after. I didn't expect it to be as brutal as it was, showing the cuts on the hands, things like that. And I had to, at some point after, like, I was watching this with my daughter in the room. My daughter is not old enough to kind of comprehend, like, what she views on TV and stuff like that. But I was like, ooh, oh, go play, Brendan, go play. Like, and I had her, like, just in the playpen. I'm like, hey, you can't sit on my lap anymore if I'm going to be watching this. Go play with your toys over here. It's okay. But they end up getting the backpack, and Becky has a really bad dream about vultures eating through Hunter's body. They have a weird attempt with the drone that I don't understand how the drone got that far, but it all ended up working out, but the drone got hit by a truck. Another attempt denied. But then we move on to what I would call the climax of the movie, and I thought this was actually very well done. Did not see this coming at all. And you ever know once, like, when you watch some movie and there's, like, some fake out where it's like, oh, she was just dreaming. Usually it doesn't work out, but here I thought it actually, like, really worked out. And it probably because, like, I was feeling anxiety just from watching them be that high. Becky was a fantastic actor. I thought it all kind of just ended up working. I thought it was a really good movie, man. But we end up getting the hallucination revealed because she was hunger, she was dying from thirst, she was hallucinating, and I don't know exactly what, but she was in a state of panic, I should say. Like, she wasn't really believing this was real. She was hallucinating, man. She did not, like, she was going out of it. She was probably dying of thirst. Regardless, like, it's something that can happen to you. She ends up dreaming, asking Hunter for her other shoe, and she's like, I can't give you my shoe because I fell on that satellite dish. And then it showed exactly what happened to Hunter's body, and just, she became lucid again, looking at Hunter just getting eaten by vultures. And I was like, well, she did not deserve that. We are better than that. Hunter didn't deserve that. But I was like, okay, so now she's up there alone. And at that point, I'd probably just jump. I couldn't take it anymore. But afterwards, she kind of has a little bit of a realization that she needs food and she's going to get out of there. So a vulture starts eating her leg. She almost doesn't care, but she grabs it by the neck. She kills it. Blood sprays a little bit more. And, like, again, you still have a couple, like, unrealistic aspects of this movie, but she ended up smashing it. And, like, it was a little, they made it a brutal watch, man. She regained some energy by eating it and then decided to go down to Hunter's body. She gets down to Hunter's body and she needs a new way to contact her father. And something that I forgot to mention was she had a moment of realization with how badly she treated her father, which, life lesson, by the way, oftentimes, I'm not saying always, oftentimes your parents do have the best interest at heart, and man to man, men can see through other men. She had this realization that her dad knew what Dan was like, and her dad knew that Dan absolutely not would be mourning her the same. Dan would still, and you get the point. So she felt bad. She loved her dad. She wanted to say sorry, and she ended up sending a message to her dad, who ended up leaving her a message, which she didn't see, that I will always be here for you. She needed a safe way for the phone to get down, and I would imagine that this would work, right? And I don't know, like, how realistic this is, but I'm talking about just the impact. Will the phone live through that impact? I don't know, because she shoved it into Hunter's shoe, shoved it inside of her body, and pushed her body off of the platform, man. That's crazy. Now, unfortunately, the movie did come to a pretty well complete halt because we kind of just cut to the father coming in, having a scare because he thought his daughter was dead, and then Becky comes up. She says she's sorry. They embrace, and the movie kind of just wraps up. I didn't hate the ending, but I thought they could have explored, like, the ending just a little bit more. I don't know how it would work. Like, could you imagine the police coming out and finding, like, a shoe and a phone buried within a girl's body and one of them being safe? I don't know, man. It's ridiculous, people that climb things. This movie did a fantastic job at really making you feel what Becky was feeling, making you feel the extent of their height. I loved it. I was interested the moment that I saw this on TikTok. I don't know when it was, like a year ago or something like that. And I'm glad I finally got around to watching because the movie was fantastic. The clips that I saw on TikTok were kind of like, I think it was the part where Hunter was trying to grab the bag. I just saw random, like, clips of people jumping and stuff and how tense it was. And I was like, that was a really interesting movie. But I thought it was great, man. I thought it was really, really great. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. We do a ton of movie and TV anime show review content for you. If you're interested right now, why don't you check out this video? It was a reaction video that we did talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. How good was it exactly? You can watch out right here. I would love to have you over there. Thank you very much for being here and watching, everybody. Take care.